Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us this week. This is Charles. I'm the owner of ravorisports. Thank you very much for joining us. Like and subscribe if this type of content is information you like. This is our weekly Ravery Sports podcast. So, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. All of our social media platforms Facebook, YouTube, and if you're watching this right now on our three streams where we do our weekly podcast YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, we've been doing the last few weeks. Twitch, you can also see the podcast at several times during the day. So we air it pretty much Thursday now at 1, our main stream here on YouTube and on Facebook. Those platforms where you could see it whenever. All you have to do is go click on those pages. Twitch, we'll be airing it several times during the course of the week. So definitely check that schedule for that. As always, we talk about Genesis Notary Services, and if you live in the Shenandoah Valley area. So definitely check us out on Facebook.com. You can book time as for if you need any notary work or work as a wedding officiant. Pretty soon, we're going to be coming. And it'll probably be soon within the next 2 months, loan signing, if you actually go ahead and need that. So I'll be going out this week with the notary business and getting that squared away. ravorisports@gmail.com. If you are looking for anything, you can go ahead and reach out to me, and I see it there at the bottom of the screen. So coming soon, we will let you know the date for ravorisports.com, the website. That's the name of the site that it's going to be called. Like that. So thank you very much for joining us. We had to have a couple of new subscribers this week. Platform is still, hey, not a big channel. That's okay. We're growing it and we're building it. And I want to thank everybody, however you've been doing it, watching, sharing. If you've shared any of our videos, looked at our website, or anything that you've done to support our effort, we appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, Raven fans, Royal fans, a lot has happened this week. So might have heard about the Lamar contract again. So this week something actually happened. I did a video yesterday on it. I'm recording this, by the way, on Wednesday. So I keep saying I got to do it. I'm recording this on Wednesday. So Tuesday was the day where Lamar received the non-exclusive franchise tag from the Ravens. So $32 million. Lamar does have the right to talk to other teams and go out and speak to them. Okay. So now I recorded that pretty much right after it happened, right after I saw it. It was around 12-ish. Put the information out there. Since I've seen there's a lot of teams saying they're out. They don't want to talk to the Lamar. They don't want to do that. The Commanders, the Falcons, the team, like, I was in shock seeing it. I almost don't believe that to a certain extent, but it's been asked a couple times, and I haven't heard you figure you heard whispers by now that these guys are talking, and so they're not talking to Lamar yet. So let me reference two old movies here. I'm gonna get to the Lamar, and I'm gonna say this: two old movies back in the day. Have you ever watched the movie New Jack City? And in Lamar and Nino Brown's played by Wesley Snipes, he goes to the end and he's on the trial and he's finally caught, he's finally in jail, and he goes there and he's on trial and the lawyer asks him a question: were you a member of the gang? Were you a member of the CMB? It's like, yes, I was a member. He was the leader of the CMB, the gang. And then he goes and he points to Christopher Williams. Well, that guy over there, he was the leader. This thing is bigger than Nino Brown's. This thing is bigger than me. And also to the movie, I thought about the movie Two Could Play That Game. Really funny stuff with Morris Chestnut and Vivica Fox years ago. Anthony Anderson was monstrous in that movie. He was great. And he was what I was thinking about. Because Vivica Fox on one side, real manipulative with her her character was real, really tried to get men to do what they wanted to do. And I'm a do this and I'm gonna say these things and the man's gonna have to wear one. And Anthony Anderson is telling Chester kind of the same guy, like on the other side, hey, I'm gonna get the guy, I'm gonna say these things. And they kind of have this mental manipulation back and forth. And the line in the movie goes, and Morris Chestnut's talking to Anthony Anderson. He's saying, oh, Anderson, he's talking. He's like, you think this is about you. You think this is still about you and her. This stopped being about you and her a long time ago. This is bigger than that now. Talking about their relationship. That's what this is. This thing is went past just the Ravens negotiating with the Lamar and the contract, and this is this is not what this is. This is way bigger. There are several things here that are not football related. I was going to do the big board today, and I still am. So, but it would be malpractice for me to start with that. You have to start Lamar because emotions are running very high, like I've never seen in a lot of times as far as a quarterback negotiation. So emotions are running very high. So I have to talk about this. I have to start with this. You see the name 4 strikes against Lamar Jackson. Okay. This is not how I feel about him because this is, to me, it's ridiculous that the Ravens haven't done this. If it is the way you say, you should be meeting closer to his demand. It can't be. I'll answer it this way. It can't be true that you like him so much and you think he's great and you think he could take you to a Super Bowl and then not be, well, give him the money that he's asking for or not give him closer to what it is. Both things, that's what they're kind of saying out of both sides of their mouth. There are reasons why they're doing that, and let me give you 4 strikes. Okay? Strike 1. This is the one that everybody's saying publicly. Injuries at the end of the last 2 seasons. I think this is in business when you have employees that you want to have hard conversations or feedback with. You're always taught to focus on exclusively the performance issue. Never the personality, never that other stuff. Okay? Even though that could be the real reason why you're not doing it. Or part of the reason, the performance issue. So this is an easy thing for them to say. Okay, you've missed 5-6 games at the end of last year. Style of play, you run the ball a lot. Hey, how do we know that you're going to be around? That makes perfect sense, I think, to the other 31 teams, not the Ravens. Here's why that's baloney with the Ravens. You had the same position last year. So you've been negotiating with him for 2 years. He only missed the games only at the end of this year. So that's kind of a baloney stance for the Ravens side of it. Because he's been injured, but players miss games all the time. So that's a bit odd to me that everybody's hanging their hat on that you can argue that. Here's strike 2. This is not talked about by national media and not even local media, but I'm going to bring, and this is clearly the case. I grew up in Baltimore. I no longer live there, but I can tell you, most of the city is, and at least when I was living there, an African-American, liberal, very liberal city. If you go to the games, the fan base there, and I'm not talking about just race, white and black necessarily, it's a different crowd than necessarily the one that actually lives in the city. A lot of the crowd is a lot of these suburban. A lot of them are Caucasian. The base of the ticket holders and everything that go to the stadium and go to the games, etc. That is, most of them on my age or older, like 40 plus. That's the base of the M&T Bank crowd, or what I call it. And some of you didn't live in Baltimore, so I'm gonna use one station, the WBAL crowd. I call them. They're the group that call the radio stations, the talk radio in Baltimore, things like that. There's a lot of them that haven't fully embraced it for whatever reason, be it race, culturally, whatever it is. I've heard a lot of that group bang on Lamar a lot. Why does that matter? Not everybody. Some of them don't care, obviously, because it's a great quarterback. But whatever it is, the owner listens to that. Any owner of any business, when they make a decision like this, they look at that type of group as far as the money. How does that affect my bottom line? And if there's a base that hasn't embraced them for whatever reason, and there's clearly a growing group, that there's, I don't know about, well, maybe that's the wrong way to put it, but there's a large enough group of them that can, where they feel comfortable enough to say, okay, we don't need this guy. We're not going to do that. If he felt like the whole fan base was going to kill him, no chance that you take there's no chance of that. But there's enough of them, and I think that's the base that the ownership group listens to, upper management listens to. Hey, look, if we decide to do it, there's enough of it. I'm not saying that's everybody, but it seems to be there's also too, like in basketball in this case, growing of Lamar fans, guys who just like Lamar. This is very common in the NBA, but there's a group of Lamar fans, a lot of young people especially, that just like the way he plays, like the way he runs. That's not that group. So I think the Ravens in some way feel emboldened. If this does go completely left, we'll be okay. We're not going to get killed by that. Okay. 3, doesn't have an agent. I've heard this a million times. Okay. He doesn't have an agent, which is true. I've heard this one. I've actually heard this one. I actually heard this once for the first time today when I was doing my research. They're talking about the agent with. They can just stop. I'm gonna address this too. A lot of the TV guys, they don't disclose. They have a lot of the same agents these players have. I'm talking about the ESPN, the FS1, those guys. They're under agents as well. Okay, so they don't disclose that a lot of the times, but they keep. That's why a lot of times, frankly, they're disingenuous when they keep repeating. Like, okay, well, you have to have an agent. An agent would take the agent. Man, you missed me in a lot of cases. Here's what I did hear for the first time, and I'm going to repeat it, and I'm going to say it today. Agents, what happens is if you have an agent, if it's CAA or Athletes First, or I'm not just saying them, or Drew, or whatever it is, if you have enough clients, the teams will not do anything to a particular player necessarily because they might have other players that they want and need on their team, and they are going to go ahead and do that. You're not going to feel so tough. If Lamar Jackson has, let's say, they might not like one of Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson is represented by same agency that has Pat Mahomes. They're not going to, that's kind of how the deal works. The obvious one, and the two obvious ones I thought about was basketball, the Clutch Sports thing. Like the Lakers all of a sudden had 3 Clutch Sports players on their team. Like with LeBron and this Caldwell Pope and all that. Got, where they could have signed other guys. That's kind of how that works. So in essence, he's locked out of the matrix, which is what a lot of it. And the other part of that non-agent thing that I'm going to bring that they're not going to say on TV is they don't want this trend. They want these guys to have agents and keep the bus moving the way it is. Whoever they is, a lot of people that work at the teams, not saying that they don't like Lamar or anything like that, but that kind of goes to the other point. It's easier to say no to him because he doesn't have an agent. He's not locked into the matrix. I question all this. Well, we can't talk to him and all that other. That's kind of silly. But because he's an all-pro quarterback. But the trend that Lamar may set, there's a group of people doesn't like it. So that's 3 strikes. Here's the 4th one. I'm hearing this one over and over. The Deshaun Watson contract. Okay? Let's get this out there right now with Deshaun Watson contract. He's not the only player in the league with a guaranteed contract. Go look up Kirk Cousins' contract, and he has a fully guaranteed with Minnesota. Okay? This happened several years ago, so he's not the first one. That's part of why they can't get rid of him, even though he struggled a little bit in the playoffs, because Deshaun Watson is not the first one. Cousins has had one. Other guys have had one. before, fully guaranteed. Not nearly as much money, but that's not the first one. They don't like the precedent that sets. So if Lamar gets a fully guaranteed or more guarantees than Watson, there's a narrative there that, okay, that this is going to be the trend and they're already spending on blah, 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 blah. That's the fourth strike, I guess. Now, he's come out and said he's never asked for a fully guaranteed, but yet still, weirdly, I keep hearing, okay, fully guaranteed narrative. That doesn't make sense to me. Why would they care? Why would the Ravens or any other team care about that? They're all working together. They don't want to get the trend to be fully guaranteed contracts around the league. Now, again, I don't think the Ravens should care about this. I'm not even sure they do. But that's kind of the narrative. And that also makes sense to me why the two reasons why they didn't give the fully guaranteed contract. Two, the bigger reason, I think, the cap. So the Ravens, as far as the salary cap goes, if they gave him extra $13 million, $14 million, that's going to restrict them a lot more in free agency and all the other stuff they're trying to do. So they're trying to keep the cap down, especially if you don't think he's going to sign it or you don't know if he's going to sign it. They're trying to keep the number down. Now they can operate and look at receivers, look at whatever else. That's part of it. The other part of it is now he can go out and look at it and get his own deal. So let's say the Falcons go out and get him a deal. The Ravens can go match it and say, hey, look, well, we're just doing what the Falcons do. You know, they could just say, oh, well, hey. And they may be more willing to meet his asking price more than what they're saying, but they're not gonna be the ones to do it. They can get another team to say they can go ahead and do it if that is the case. Hey, we're just doing what the Falcons do. You'd be mad at them. So the matrix is all to worry about. So there are more forces at play here other than what we all care about. Signing Lamar to the long-term extension. And it's ridiculous in a lot of ways because this should be easy enough. 26 years old, former MVP, won 70% of the games, all these games, and here we are. We watched it yesterday. Daniel Jones, $40 million. My daughter looked at that and said, what is he really good? No. He's nowhere near better than Lamar. But here we are. And again, so this, I understand a lot of you fans that are frustrated, both sides. Some of you are sick of the whole Lamar thing or sick of him, or there's a lot of you that want Lamar there, that want Lamar to continue. I understand that. But this thing is now bigger than Nino Brown's. This stopped being about you a long time ago in the movies. There are so many other layers to this that it's way past anything else. So I'm gonna do the quarterback predictions but here in part. We'll go ahead and get to that. But I have no idea how this is gonna play out. I got no clue. And I'll talk about that when we get to that part of it. Let's go to big board. What we were going to start with before all the Lamar business. Big board. So last week we did mock draft. This is the Ravens big board. Okay? So the big board is not mock draft. It's not prediction. What is the board look like? So we're doing this regardless of position for the most part. This difference between this and like a Mel Kiper board where they do the whole league is it. I don't care what teams say. It is based on their needs a little bit. Okay, but it's mostly graded. Okay, so it's graded based on this. Okay, so one guy gets a 90 grade, 80 grade, 70, etc. You go down that list. Guys are taken off the board in some cases for a team based on need, based on certain things. Like for instance, he wouldn't be on a board like this, but Ravens wouldn't have a kicker on the board. You got Justin Tucker, or you wouldn't have an inside line. You might not have an inside line, or something like that. Makes sense? So let's go to the big board. And these are just from top to bottom. I think the Ravens, the higher the number, I think the Ravens would pull the trigger on these guys on the board. Will Anderson, Alabama, I think he's one. Right above Jalen Carter of Georgia. Jalen Carter's back on here this week as far as the board. It doesn't look like he's going to spend any time in jail. I think it does hurt his draft stock, though. But I think the talent that he has, I think you got to put him at 2. Will Anderson, I love Will Anderson. I think Will Anderson's game. I mean, the only negative I think is the size, a little smallish. So I think like not necessarily every team knows how to have a smallish outside linebacker. I've seen that a lot, but I think Will Anderson is definitely there. C.J. Stroud, I have him higher than Bryce Young. I think C.J. Stroud is outstanding. I think he's the most complete quarterback in the draft, right there with Bryce Young right behind him. I don't think there is much difference between Stroud. I think Stroud looks really good to me, really good at Ohio State. Bryce Young, the only reason I put him lower is the size. He's, I don't think he's even as big as they're saying. That's a big deal over years and years. So I think it's a little bit more risky with Young, but he's really good. Bryce Young, 4. Considering what's going on with Lamar, I think they would consider these guys. I don't think they'll be there, but let's say you do make a trade with Atlanta or something like that, and you're at 8. And you have 2 picks or something. You never know. Could be taking Bryce Young. Oh, sorry. Robinson. He's 5 on the list. I was tempted to put him 1. Very high on the list. He's one of the best running backs I think I've ever seen. This guy is going to get a stud. Whoever picks him up. He's from Texas. I think Dallas will definitely take a look. I think the Ravens would take a look at him. I do. You might be getting rid of Gus Edwards. We don't know that. We'll talk about that next week probably when we get more into free agency. But yeah, I definitely think his grade is very high, as high as any running back there is. Tyree Wilson, outstanding outside linebacker along with Myles Murphy, going out from Clemson. These 2 guys, you're splitting hairs. I think these 2 guys both, you better put 2 guys on them. Lots of corners in the first round. Christian Gonzalez, Oregon, we talked about him. I think he's the best corner in the draft at a premium position. Devin Witherspoon, Illinois, is right behind him. Outstanding corner. These 2 guys are day 1 guys. Peter Strosky, great technique. Not super big, but an outstanding tackle. I don't think the Ravens are necessarily looking for a tackle, but I think they take it. Absolutely do. Morgan Moses is up in age. Stanley with all the injuries, they could be set at tackle, but I think this guy is there. He falls, definitely. They're going to take it. Joey Porter, his dad, known as a Steeler for so many years, outside linebacker. Outstanding. I think he's one of the 3 elite corners in the draft. Joey Porter for Penn State. It's fantastic. Ball skills are outstanding. I love a guy like that. Guys like this, like, funny enough, you replace a Marcus Peters with a Joey Porter. That would be like perfect. You wouldn't have to change much. Osiris Torrance. He's really, really good. He's just playing the wrong position. He's at guard. Ravens have a need for guard, though. Ben Powers might be leaving. They definitely might take this guy. Paris Johnson. I like him at Ohio State, right? The tackle. I think he's right there as well. Again, I don't think they're looking for a tackle, but I think they would take this guy if he's there. If he's the best pick, if these first 12 are gone ahead of him, absolutely. This is a need. Jackson Smith Enigma. He's really the only one I have in the first round. Ravens badly need a wide receiver. This would be a no-brainer. A huge need and a guy in the first round. Only knock on him is the injuries. Brian Branch, cornerback, safety, 15. I think this is about right. He's like the 15th best player. Versatility, love about him. Fantastic. Very versatile guy. Can play multiple positions. Michael Mayer, not even close. Number 1 tight end in the draft by Notre Dame. Notre Dame's they're cranking out a lot of tight ends. I think he's right there. This is about, I think, where he'll go around 16. Got to put him there. I doubt seriously the Ravens looking at a tight end. doubt even this guy. I doubt seriously they'll take a tight end. But I think it is possible. They like tight ends. Not impossible, but I think him, I think, would be the exception. He's probably the only one on their board for a while. Will Levis, Kentucky. Kuiper's favorite quarterback. We don't know if they're looking for a quarterback or not. So I think it's there. I think this is a higher thing. I think they are taking a look at quarterback. Robert Jones, tackle. Third best tackle. I think, again, now we're getting to the area where I don't know if they would do that one, but it's there. I think it's something in play. You can never have enough tackles. I think with him, I think I might move him to guard for like a year or something like that. Brian Breeze, outstanding defensive tackle. Outstanding defensive tackle from Clemson. Quentin Johnson, he's the second receiver I have in the first round, about 20. You take him about 2022. I'm okay with it. I think he's still got some developing to do. A little inconsistent, but again, not a great receiver draft here. I think he's the best one. If you are going to take someone in the first round, that's it. Run on corners. I'm going to level out of these corners. I have Tyree Stevenson higher than I see him, but a lot of places, he is an outstanding cover. Outstanding. Hard to go ahead and do anything with Tyree Stevenson if he's playing with. The only thing he lacks, I think, is ball skills. Kelly Ringo, Deontay Banks, Cam Smith, put him in the same bucket. Great cover corners, all of them. Banks, I mean, we're obviously rooting for him because Maryland. Cam Smith, I think, more as a nickel guy initially. Kelly Ringo, I think you could put him on the outside. I think he's a start. I'm not sure if he's a day what I call a guy plug and play. Maybe, but definitely the top 22 player. Not a lot of good corners in this one. Trent Simpson, number one inside linebacker. Ravens maybe not looking. Definitely signing Roquan Smith. We don't know what Patrick Queen's future looks like. So definitely a guy like that. I don't think I don't think that's their first choice, but him, I definitely think they should. Lucas Van Ness, outside linebacker, rush in, set the edge. All 32 teams can use this guy. All 32 teams. You can fit him. You can fit him in multiple. You can play him in defense. I have him defensive end. I could definitely see him tackle on certain teams. Fit him in, set the edge, stop the run. Outstanding. Lucas Ness. Clark Phillips is the corner back from Utah. I think one of the top, if not the top nickel. They definitely need that. Ravens probably need two corners. Anton Harrison, I know Ravens like guys from Oklahoma. As far as tackles go, he's another one. I might move him inside if I'm going to start him right away. I think down line, left, right tackle, definitely move for him. You could do that. Jahmyr Gibbs, Alabama. Love watching him. I think he's a running back. No chance he goes in the first round. There's always two running backs who are going to go in the first round if we even get one. But he's outstanding whoever gets him. And I think you'll see him in the middle rounds or second or third. But on the board, 29th best player. Jordan Addison, Ohio State 30. Upside is tremendous. Needs a lot of polish. I kind of remind me, like, when I see him, I like Anthony Richardson. The measurables off the chart, but I don't know if he's ready to play right away. So there you go. Ravens, big board. Anthony Richardson is not on there. I've seen that name a lot. I don't think he's a first round. Super fast, great arm strength. You got to throw better than 45%. Almost. I mean, you got to. I don't see. I think he should be drafted later. He's not going to be because so many teams need a quarterback. But we'll see how that goes. So there's the board for the Ravens, and let's go shift segue to Maryland basketball. All right, so we are in March right there, and so we're recording this before the Big Ten tournament starts as we're recording on a Wednesday night. So a lot of you have already seen it. Maryland in the tournament as they go, I have them about a 5 or a 7 seed. I think like the seeding in the tournaments in the NCAA tournament is kind of not a big deal. A 1-2 seed is important 3, 4, 5 to 12, as far as I'm concerned, even if it basically the same thing. There's really no difference between those seeds and that, because they're basically playing the same level of teams in there, especially if you're playing on a neutral court. I think there'll be about a 5. I think there'll be about a 5 in the tournament. I can see it as an 8 or 9 seed as well, depending on how they do in the Big Ten tournament. But about a 5 or 7. Likely number 1, Houston, Kansas, Alabama, UCLA. Kansas almost always, when they're in good position, get number 1 in the Midwest. UCLA almost always, when they're in good position, number 1 in the West. No questions about it. Alabama, I think, has been the best team during the course of the season. I can't really argue that as well. Houston's been very good as well. Purdue, I think, may be the best team, but they'll be a 2 seed. Not by much. They kind of played their way out of it. The 2 losses they had to Maryland and Northwestern really kind of maybe played their way out of the number 1 seed. But they were the number 1 during the course of the year. I think they have the best player, though, Zach Edey. I think he'll do well in the tournament, too, because teams are not going to know how to play him. A lot of the Big Ten teams during the course of the year kind of figured it out a little bit, like Maryland, but I think they're not going to know how to play him during the course of the year. Big Ten, what happens? Okay, likely to get in. This is just my information I've read based on bracketology and what I've seen during the course of the year. Indiana, Northwestern, Michigan State, Iowa, Illinois, they're likely to get in. Be shocked if they didn't get in. Illinois, I think, is the least likely. I think they're pretty much in the tournament. Michigan, Rutgers, Wisconsin, Penn State on the bubble. Michigan, especially with Wisconsin, I think they're on the opposite side of the bubble. I don't know if they're on. Penn State, true bubble. I have no clue if they get it. They have some good losses. They have some wins. We'll see. I think the other teams there probably need a good Big Ten tournament. I think, especially in Michigan's case, I think they need to get all the way to the championship game. Obviously, if you win the tournament, you can get in regardless. But I think they need to get at least that far. So we will see what happens in the 20 with the Terps. Maryland is going ahead, and they're going to go ahead and compete. We will know on Sunday. As far as that goes, as far as where they're seated, who they're playing in the tournament. Maryland this year, real quick. Definitely better than expectations. There's no this team is not full of McDonald's All-Americans, full of great football. I mean, this is their best player, Jameer Young. He was playing at a much smaller D1 school last year, Jameer Young. A bunch of defensive guys. Great hire getting Kevin Willard. So definitely great job by the Terps getting that squared away this season. So we are looking forward to it, and we're going to be covering that. All right. NFL. Let's go over this larger NFL content we will do. Funny, I had this planned before the events of yesterday, but it's funny enough, on my team, I'm the most confused out of all these teams. So let's take a look. So, little fun we're going to have. We're going to predict who is the starting quarterback for teams next year. Okay? So, the 2023 season, who is going to be the starting quarterback for those teams? Division by division. We're going to go. Josh Allen in the Bills. A lot of people say he's regressing. I think this is who he's always been. He's a gambler. Takes some chances. His interception totals go up and down. Not worried at all about Josh Allen. Teddy Bridgewater. Not Tua. I don't know if Tua is going to play much. I think they're hoping that he does. He's still in concussion protocol. As good as he's been. When they're saying things like they're looking at other options, when you have a Tua, I think there's more to this injury than what they want to say publicly. We don't know. I think they think they're going to keep Teddy Bridgewater, though, and play a lot. Mac Jones in New England, I think he's solidified. I think, getting Bill O'Brien is going to help him a lot. They kind of, from what I'm seeing, Matt Patricia's not even there at all anymore. So they got rid of him. Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. Yeah, I think that's going to happen. unless Aaron retires or something else. The Packers, I could say, done with it. They've been wanting to get rid of him, I think, for the last couple of years. I think this happens a lot with players that are older, that they get tired of the whole thing. If the Bulls wanted to get rid of Michael Jordan when he's delivering the title, certainly the Packers are tired of Aaron Rodgers. They're sick of it. They're just sick of the whole deal. I think they would gladly get rid of Jim. It's if it doesn't happen, I think it could be the numbers are not going to work, or the Packers want too much compensation. They gladly get rid of him. The North, Joe Burrow. Is he going to get $50 million? Let's see how that goes. That negotiation. I got a feeling it won't be as crazy as Lamar. I still have the Ravens with Lamar. I don't know. But a vote 51-49. Most likely, I think he still stays if they still want to sign him. It's crazy to me if that is true that nobody wants him. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. The Ravens should take it if it is a discount, because you're in this division. Look at it. Kenny Pickett. I think it's going to work out for Pittsburgh. I don't know how great he's going to be, but he certainly looks like a starting NFL quarterback. Deshaun Watson is going to have his first full season as Browns quarterback. Really? He played a little bit last year. I think they looked at last year, anytime he played was a bonus. So they're going ahead, and they're probably pretty happy that he's going to play more this year. Trevor Lawrence, probably the best quarterback in the division. Ryan Tannehill, they're going to stick with him. I think they are going to go ahead, and they're having a bit of a fire sale, though. They're getting rid of Henry, etc. They're getting rid of a lot of players, trying to fix their cap. But I think they're sticking with Tannehill. I don't think there's a market for him, so that's why they're sticking with him. Might as well, especially if you don't feel Malik Willis is going to play. This is kind of just based on my mock draft. C.J. Stroud goes in with the Colts. Bryce Young, the Texans. They're picking high. They're going to take those quarterbacks. Those quarterbacks aren't going to go very long. I don't know if the Colts or Texans. I don't know if they need a trade. Both of them may need to trade up to get those quarterbacks. Definitely in the quarterback business. Will Levis' name may pop up for either one of those teams. Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the league. Not a lot to say there. Herbert, as good as anybody. Jimmy Garoppolo. I think this is where Tom Brady would have went had he kept playing. He would have played in I think he was going to play for the Raiders. I think Garoppolo kind of fits that as well. This is a guy similar, knows the system, knows everything that's going on. I think Lamar, if there is a team that does not care about what the rest of the league thinks, it's my dad's favorite team, the Raiders. No question. They're not going to care about any of this other stuff. Can Lamar help us win? But I think they stay with Garoppolo. I think they're very familiar with Garoppolo, and it's not going to cost them as much. Russell Wilson, I think he's a cook guy. He looked terrible last year, but I don't think they can get rid of him. So I think that's why they kept him with Sean Payton. I mean, they paid him a lot of money. Jalen Hurts, I think it's only a matter how much he's going to get with the extension. Dak Prescott, he's kind of unfairly maligned, I think. I don't think he's it's something to do with, like, if you're not an elite quarterback. I think he's maybe not as good as people thought he was going to be, but he's still decent enough. He's not their problem. They got other he's not their problem why they can't get to where they need to go. Daniel Jones, we're living in a world where Lamar's making less than Daniel Jones, for God's sake. 40 million, 160, my goodness, but that's what it is. Another team that doesn't need Lamar, Sam Howell, 5th round quarterback. I think that's their option. I don't know if they get anybody. I was really going through it. And I think a Jameis Winston might be out there, something like that. I think that's the way it may go for them, unless they can trade up and they don't have a ton of cap space. Kirk Cousins actually does have a guaranteed deal with Minnesota. He's going to stay there with them. I've seen enough of Cousins. I don't think he's going to get him or what he's going to get. I think they've given him all the weapons they need. Jared Goff, I think was research. I think Jared Goff's always been decent. I think he's kind of got another one like Prescott, a little bit of a bad rap. He's always, to me, been decent enough. outside of his rookie year. Packers are going to go with Jordan Love. I have no idea how this everything goes. I think he could be gone regardless. I think Jordan Love is going to start for them. I don't know how good he is so far. We're going to find out. I think the Packers are actually going to move forward. Justin Fields. Everything we're seeing and hearing, they're not going to take a quarterback. They're going to stay with Justin Fields there. Division terrible here at quarterback. Kyle Trask. Kind of similar to Washington. They saw him a little bit, midnight draft pick. May have to give him a shot if you can't do anything else. Sam Darnold, still with Carolina. They tried it in the beginning of last year. He got beat out by Mayfield. He kind of played more at the end. This is what you're left with. Saints did sign Derek Carr. I got no problem with this. I will say their cap number, they've been in the worst cap shape for any team for the last 5 years. So, I mean, it's a lot of money when you got to clear that up. And based on the mock draft, Anthony Richardson, he's going to go early somewhere. I don't think he should play right away. I think I like to see somebody sign a veteran. But, again, what's there if you don't want Lamar, especially? And Aaron Rodgers is gone. Carr is gone. Yeah, you're going to start. I think Richardson, especially if he goes early enough, he's going to play pretty much in a lot of ways sooner than he should. Brock Purdy is going to start for the 49ers. He's been better than Trey Lance. He should start. He's going to start. I think if he's healthy enough to. I think he wins it. I think that's the only thing that would keep him out. Geno Smith, feel good for him. Well-deserved contract he got. 300, I think it was 3 years, 105. Maybe he's just a bridge, but hey, why not try? He was good, and he was good last year. And he wasn't like Daniel Jones, but I didn't think he was really good last year for them. Stafford, I think, returns for the Rams, provided that he's healthy enough to play. Again, I don't have any problem with this per se. I'm thinking more they should blow it up and just start over. But it looks like they're keeping Stafford again. I don't know if there's a taker for Stafford. And Colt McCoy. Yeah, you get that right. Colt McCoy. Starting with the Cardinals. I don't think Kyler is going to be there most of the year. I think Kyler will be there at some point, but I think that'll be late in the year. I think like similar to what you saw like Deshaun Watson typed up, like maybe like week 12 or 13, maybe you start seeing Kyler Murray at that point. I don't think they take a quarterback either because they spend a lot of money on Kyler. So there you go. All right. So that's just how we see it. The Ravens, I have no clue what's going to happen. I put Lamar there because it still may work out there. They may be in a situation where they need each other. I don't know what else the Ravens do to get better than Lamar, and I don't know what Lamar may have to do to go out there and do something else different. A couple things real quick. Let's do some larger NFL content here. What do the Bears do in free agency? They can do anything they want. They are $80-some million under the cap. I think they're in at least 3 veterans. I think they might be in on Orlando Brown. I think they might be in on Jalen Ramsey. They should be. They're going to have to spend some of this money. You got number 1 pick, and I think they're going to go ahead and do that. I think whatever big name is out there, it's going to be the Bears that are going to go ahead and do that. I think one name, Deron Payne, I think was franchised by Carolina, by the Commanders. I think that's definitely somebody where we get the D tackle spot and things like that. They're going to be very active. I would be shocked if they didn't sign at least 3 or 4 players. Orlando Brown, really look at that. There's definitely a need, and that's a lot of money that they have. Chiefs, I think, want to keep him, but I think Orlando might, they better have some money for Orlando Brown. Derrick Henry, where is he going to play? If you're trading Derrick Henry, it means you're starting the fire, because I don't think this is your main guy here. This is like trading a quarterback. On this team, they may be trying to change the makeup of that. Where does he play? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure where. If how much a team would spend on him. There's a lot of running back options. So I think there's like 2 first-round level in the draft. There was some that were cut out of the Tony Pollard, I think, was franchised, and Josh Jacobs was franchised. So they're going to stay put. I don't know who looks at him. I'm really not sure who looks at him. I don't know if the Ravens would take a look. I mean, valuing the run, but he's going to get far less than what he's getting. I think it was like $16 million. He's going to get far less than what he's getting. I'm not really sure. It'll definitely not be Tennessee because I think he's definitely going to get released. I think the 49ers actually might be. But then he'd have to take a lesser role than what he's doing. I think that might be right. Where does Juju Smith-Schuster sign a free agency? He is my number 1 free agent in all free agency as far as wide receiver position goes. He's the number 1 guy. I don't know if the Chiefs. It'll be very interesting to see in his case what happens. Does he want the money? I'm sure he's going to get a bigger deal. I think it was like $4.5 million reportedly that he was getting last year. He's performed past that 4.5, but does he get a lot more than that? Yes. But will he get the top end receiver money like $14-15 million? I don't know. I don't think he gets it from Kansas City if he does. And that's the thing. I think if I'm him, I want to stay in Kansas City. I don't want to, they basically resurrected him. I don't know how much interest there is going to be in him. This is very tough one. There should be more, I think. Because I think he's the one that's a number 1 receiver on a lot of teams. And if you have a receiver better than him, you have a very good number 2. So I got no problem with it. And he's only 26. I think he stays. I don't think, unless there is a deal that is phenomenal, the Bears show up, or the Falcons, or somebody with a lot of cap, or somebody really, I don't think he leaves. I think he probably stays for that. The Ravens can't afford this guy. They're not going to spend this type of money on that. This would be perfect for him, I think, but I don't think they're going to spend that kind of money. Oh, here's another one. DeAndre Hopkins. Where is he signed? Free agency. Not sure. Again, have a lot of we're not sure. He's definitely going to leave Arizona. 30 plus years old. My guess is I think Dallas is a good option. I think the Rams would be a good option for him. I think the Commanders will be a good option for him. Something like that. I think at this point, get with a team where he could be like a number 2 option or something like that. He's fully capable of knowing the team. Again, he's going to take a lot less money. They're not going to, I don't think there's a team that's going to pay him 15, 16 or anything like that. I'd be surprised if it was. But I don't think teams do. There's a lot of teams right now strapped at the cap right now. You're seeing that a lot. I'm looking at it a lot. There's a lot of teams that are not overflowing with cap space. I mean, the Bears and the Falcons are, even the Colts this year, finally, don't have a ton of cap space. One last. Rashad Bateman, was he right? Was he correct, rather, to call out Eric DeCosta? No. He was wrong. I think, you know what the funny part is? I don't think DeCosta was even talking about him. I believe the rest of the receivers. I think he was talking about, I think that's also why Bateman was the one to speak out. I think he was talking about the rest of the group. Because there's no defending. I mean, the wide receiver production wasn't even NFL level in most cases. I don't think there's any of these guys are, except for Bateman, is an NFL starting receiver. And the jury's out on him because of the injury. So we'll see how that goes going forward. But I don't think he was even talking to him. But I think what he was doing was he was speaking up for his teammates. The James Prochet, the guys like that he was talking about. I think that's actually what he was doing. But the Costas, I hate to call it, but I mean, the receivers weren't any good. I mean, there's no other way to say that. I mean, I don't know what you want him to say in that sense. You know, I don't know as far as the details of Peyton's injury, etc. But, you know, for him to be mad at DeCosta, I mean, when DeCosta's right. I mean, what do you want him to say? I mean, the receivers just weren't any good. Spring training report segue into baseball. Go over a couple of Orioles with every stream. We're gonna go over Orioles. Everyone will read sports. So they're definitely looking for a backup at first base. Kyle Stowers, according to a couple of published reports, didn't do well at first base. They were kind of thinking about him because he's going to play, because he's going to be the DH. It looks like the everyday DH for the most part. So they were going to try him at first base. I know they've been trying Bavara there, Anthony Santander before he went to baseball class. Just trying at first base. So they're trying to get somebody to back up that's already on the roster that is not when Mountcastle doesn't play. So they're definitely looking at that, somebody that's already there. So it doesn't seem like they're going to go out and get anybody. I'm sure they're going to try James McCann, but outfielder makes sense because that offensive production is there. So they're definitely trying that. Opening day starter has not been named. So they definitely have not gotten to that yet on naming an opening day starter. We will let you know when that happens. I'm thinking it's going to be Dean Kramer that will start on opening day, or Kyle Gibson. I think for me, those are the two most likely. Gibson, they paid him all that money. I think he's going to be the opening day starter. I'm hoping, though, it's Dean Kramer. World Baseball Classic, Cedric Mullins is going to be in USA. Anthony Santander, Dean Kramer for Israel. So the World Baseball Classic, 7-21. Fox is going to be showing it FS1 if you want to go ahead and check that out. I'm not as big on this World Baseball Classic. I think it was in the Olympics. That's fine, but I don't. I mean, for me, again, a lot of you may like. I love baseball, but a lot of you may want to go ahead and check that out. Starting rotation is done well in the starts. This is important. Irvin, Gibson, Kramer, Bradish, and Rodriguez have looked very good in the start. Now, they haven't pitched a lot of innings, but they've done well at the start, especially looking at Grayson. He's going to break camp as your fifth start. I mean, definitely looks like I'm hearing that more and more and more that Grayson is going to break camp as the starter. Real quick, I was going to spend more time on this, but I am going to mention this. AT&T Sportsnet is shutting down in March, right before the season starts. So this is the regional sports network that covers in Denver, Salt Lake City, Houston, and Pittsburgh. No longer going to be. They're going to go ahead and give that back to their teams. So also to Baltimore-based Sinclair Broadcasting, Diamond Sports, parent company, but it's owned by Sinclair. Look at all these markets here that it's going on there: Phoenix, Detroit, Miami, Cleveland, Indy, Cincinnati, St. Louis, New Orleans, Minneapolis, Cincinnati, Oklahoma City, Atlanta, Dallas. Not done. Another graphic. Los Angeles, Milwaukee, Tampa, San Antonio, Charlotte, Memphis, Orlando, Oklahoma City. All of these teams have MLB, NBA, and NHL teams affected by that. Valley Sports is continuing right now, but they are filing bankruptcy. Apparently, it's reported, alleged, that they've missed a debt payment. So they're having trouble with finding a buyer. Scripps Broadcasting is the team that's buying it. This is something, I will say this, and I will mention this for this reason. Not a word on the mothership, ESPN. Not a word on the Total Sports Network. Not a word about this. This is affecting teams right now. This is a lot of money that these franchises are losing. The Orioles is in Madison, which is lousy. I've said it many times, but it's a big part of the revenue, regardless of what anybody says. So this is a lot of revenue. This is a lot of things going away. So apparently, I've heard that there are teams that they're trying to sell these back to the teams collectively. I don't buy it for a second that they're all going to get together, NBA, NHL. They're not going to do that. They're not going to be able to work together and do that. It's a large part of their revenue. They're going to have to go into streaming. I think this is a good thing. I think eventually, and I do think Amazon and a lot of these companies will get in and do it. And as far as they've already started on Apple TV and done some baseball games. live streaming platforms, they're starting to cut back a little bit too. But I think there's still a huge market for sports, and I think it just has to be organized. But now they're going to be forced to. They're going to be forced to go ahead and do that to get that uh, force of revenue. And the Baltimore sports effect is Masson is going to be affected on this as well, sooner rather than later. I think they're they obviously don't know what they're doing. They obviously are not a good. I mean, they're showing 4 games for God's sake. Eventually, the cable money is drying up, and they're going to have to go out there and stream and perform, like everybody else. So we'll definitely keep our eye on that. It's unfortunate, though. When I think of these things, right, I think a lot of older fans that don't stream or more traditional with the viewing are going to have a hard time finding these games and getting squared away. So definitely, we'll go ahead and keep our eye on that, as well as the Orioles spring training as well. Glad to see the starters doing so well in spring training. All right, so thank you for putting up with us here on the weekly Ravery Sports podcast. Definitely check us out on all of our social media platforms. So if you're watching this right now, you're on our YouTube channel, our Facebook channel, or our Twitch channel. Also, too, don't forget about our Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn pages that we have. Okay? Thank you. So emotions were running high this week. Sure, with the Lamar thing. So thank you for joining us. And you have a great rest of your day. We will see you in the next one.